ABS or no ABS? That's the question this week on MCrider. We'll talk about the pros and cons of an ABS braking system on your motorcycle. And stay tuned until the end of this video because I've got one compelling statistic that may change your mind one way or the other on ABS systems. First, let's talk about what ABS is. So ABS is a computer-controlled braking system that monitors the wheel spin on your motorcycle. The job of ABS is to reduce the braking pressure when it directs wheel spin under braking and then apply that braking back to the tire to keep it from locking up. So let's say you get ham-fisted with the front brake and you grab that brake before weight has had a chance to transfer to that front tire. The ABS system kicks in and reduces brake pressure in order for the tire to regain traction and then applies braking back to that tire. An ABS system can typically read wheel spin hundreds of times per second and can actually adjust braking pressure around 10 to 15 times per second. So all of this is dependent on the system that's installed on the motorcycle. Not all ABS systems are the same in regards to cycle speed, and newer systems are vastly improved over older ABS systems that we first saw installed on motorcycles. So let's take a look at some of the cons of what having an ABS system might bring about and see why some riders may not want ABS on their motorcycle or at least have the ability to turn it off. ABS is not as effective for off-road use. Many more advanced riders on off-road motorcycles like to lock that rear tire up in order to change direction. So they'll lock the tire up and slide the bike around so that they can change directions more quickly, or even to get the motorcycle to stop when the conditions are really thick. It's better sometimes to lock that tire up and let it dig into the dirt. You're going to stop a motorcycle quicker under those conditions than you would if you were ABS equipped. That's true in gravel or, in dirt situations off-road. Many adventure-style motorcycles these days have the option to turn the ABS off completely or to turn the ABS off on the rear tire only because they're designed for that multi-surface riding. So adventure riders may want the option to turn it off or to leave it off when they're off-road. Another reason that some people don't like ABS is it costs money. On motorcycles that have an ABS and a non-ABS version available, the rider will pay more for an ABS version. ABS adds parts to the motorcycle and those parts cost money, and the manufacturer passed that cost on to the consumer. But on the positive side of this, more and more bikes are coming with ABS, so the cost of those parts are coming down and prices are falling. It used to be more than a $1,000 option on most motorcycles for ABS, but because of the economy of scale, that cost has come down considerably from where it started. Because ABS is required in the EU, many manufacturers have stopped making bikes in both versions because it's just easier to produce all bikes with that ABS in common. But now let's look at some of the pros of having an ABS-equipped motorcycle. ABS works if braking is bad and or the road conditions are bad. So at the start of this video, we talked about grabbing the front brake or possibly slamming on the rear brake will cause the ABS to activate. Now that would be considered a rider error, but what if the road surface under the rider changes? Let's say you're braking aggressively and your tire hits a patch of oil or gravel or a painted line on the road, especially when those lines are wet. That changes the braking dynamic, and a rider who's under pressure to keep from hitting that car or whatever's in the roadway in front of them could never account for all of the road variables that come into play in these situations. But ABS can. Remember, ABS is monitoring the wheel spin of the motorcycle hundreds of times per second, and it can adjust that braking power of the motorcycle for optimum braking under changing road surfaces. But probably the most compelling reason for getting ABS is it reduces crashes and fatalities. Now, I've quoted other ABS studies on MCrider in the past concerning reduced number of crashes that ABS-equipped motorcycles are involved in. But there's a more recent study that I've found very compelling, because the other studies in the past just kind of studied all motorcycles in general. In this study, they looked at years from 2003 to 2019, but only at motorcycles that could be purchased with the ABS or without ABS. So if ABS was standard, those motorcycles were thrown out of the equation. If you couldn't get ABS, those motorcycles were thrown out of the equation. So only that Honda CBR 600 that you could buy with ABS or without ABS was included in this study, and it had accounted for 10,000 registered vehicle years. So they got a lot of data from this study. In the study of the same exact motorcycles available with and without ABS, they found a reduction of fatal motorcycle crashes of 22% with motorcycles equipped with ABS. And I've got a link to that study. You can find that at mcrider.com/ABS-study. But a 22% reduction in fatal motorcycle crashes is an impressive number, and it's something to consider the next time you're looking for a motorcycle. I practice emergency braking on a regular basis, and every motorcycle I own has ABS. For those riders who say that ABS just gets in your way, you're either riding too aggressively for the street, which that carries its own set of risks, or you don't know what you're doing with the brakes. ABS only gets in the way if the motorcycle tires lock up. And under those circumstances on the street, you want ABS getting in the way, because you've either done something wrong or the road conditions have changed under you, and ABS is going to save you from a crash. Every time I mention ABS and its safety benefits on motorcycles, I hear from the same thing from multiple viewers, especially newer riders, because some of you guys are buying smaller, older bikes to learn on. And some of you watching just got a knot in your stomach and you're saying, oh no, my motorcycle doesn't have ABS. Should I sell it and get something different? Well, first of all, it's a decision that you have to make, and nobody else will have that correct answer for you. Just understand, for you riders, especially the new riders that don't have ABS on your motorcycle, it's even more important for you to practice good braking techniques. Go to MCrider.com and become a member. You can get access to the field guide, where I've got braking exercises that you can work on and learn how to properly stop your motorcycle. Or go to MCrider.com and just do a search for brakes or emergency braking. I've got tons of free information on the subject of emergency braking, and you can learn how to practice those skills on your own. If you don't have ABS, it's even more important for you to know what you're doing on the brakes of your motorcycle. And if you've not taken an MSF class, that's where you need to start at, is by taking that new rider class. As always, leave a comment below or join us on the forums for a discussion on this subject. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MC Rider, and I'll see you on the road.